Advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod and we're webcasting to you live from the Center for Autism and Related Disorders headquarters in Tarzana, California. It's Tuesday. It's November 18th. It's the day I've been waiting for because you know what today is? Today is the first day of the Festival of Toys and I couldn't be more excited. We're going to kick this off. You know, we're going to be featuring toys every hour and sometimes we're just going to have a featured toy of the hour that we want to showcase for you and tell you how amazing it is. And so Kelby is showing you our very first toy of the hour is U-Clue. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about this throughout the hour, but this is an amazing, amazing game. If you've ever enjoyed playing Treasure Hunt, this game elevates Treasure Hunt to another level. I'm not going to give more than that away, but this is a highly recommended toy for our kids on the autism spectrum. There are so many things that you can work on. So we want to give a big shout out to U-Clue and tell them that we think that they're a remarkable toy for individuals who are on the autism spectrum. And again, we're going to talk more about it later on. So our featured toy of the hour, U-Clue. It is also featured in a lovely guide. This is the Toys R Us toy guide for differently abled children. Don't you love the title of that? I love that. Because it's not that they're disabled, it's not that they're not able, they're just differently abled. I love that. And one of the other things that I love about this toy guide is that all of the kids that you see in the pictures are kids who are differently abled with different kinds of things going on, so that when our kids look at these toy guides, they get an opportunity to see kids like them. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing. This toy guide shows you tons of toys. Each year they make different recommendations. And it's not, when I say they, it's not just anybody they. It's the folks at Lecotech. They make recommendations about which toys might be good for our kids, and they pick toys that are meant to be reinforcing, that are going to be durable, and they have all these little icons that they've given us as we look through the guide. Lecotech has rated each one of the toys to tell us which skills it is going to promote. So I see this lovely dollhouse here, and it shows me the creative toy that it uses imagination. It does fine motor skills. It's got gross motor skills, and it works on language skills, this toy right here. And that reminds me of all the different things that I can do with this particular toy. Fabulous free toy guide that is just for our differently abled children. And by the way, you can find this online or you can ask for the toy guide when you go into a Toys R Us. I love to shop using one of these. So I'm going to do things all out of order today, but I want to let you know that we have a guest from Lecotech who's joining us today. She's going to talk to us about that U-Clue toy that we were just talking about, and she's going to talk to us about some of the other toys that are in this guide as well. We just got back, I'm not kidding you, like 10 minutes ago from being at a Toys R Us store where we filmed a little segment that we're going to share with you after Thanksgiving that is featuring some of the amazing toys in this toy guide. So love it, love Lecotech, love Toys R Us, and love this game U-Clue, and you're going to love it too. All right. So we're going to be with you live for the next 2 hours. We're going to be talking about all things autism, and from time to time over the next 3-4 weeks, I guess it might even be 5 weeks, from November 18th to December 18th, our last show of the year, we're going to be featuring toys because it's that time of the year. No matter what we're talking about, we want to help you to get to the progress that you need in your life. So whether you're a parent, a teacher, a practitioner, whether you are somebody who is on the autism spectrum yourself, or anybody else. I mean, anybody who's watching, we want to help you to get to the progress that you want to see in your life. And so that's why we talk about autism from a 360-degree perspective, and it's meant to be an interactive conversation. So we want you to participate with us. Kelby's going to show you some of the different ways that you can be talking with us. I'll remind you that our homepage is autism-live.com. When you go there, so much to do there. Really want to emphasize that you want to be signed up for the free newsletter. A little bit later on in this hour, I'm going to tell you how you can start to win toys, including today's toy of the hour. But you have to be signed up to the newsletter. Otherwise, you cannot win. I'm sorry. We just have some rules this year. We have rules every year. So in any case, we want you to participate. But when you go on that live website too, you can be watching the live show. You can watch a recently recorded live show. You can find the playlist up in the one corner of the screen. It looks like a little memo sheet. You can click on that and you can find any of the shows that we've done in the past. But to the side of all that, there's a series of white boxes, and one of them says your question. That's the one I want to highlight to you. If you put your cursor there, start typing, hit enter, you have the opportunity to be a part of this conversation, and you can write to us about anything. You can say, Shannon, I'm just not having it with all this early. What are you doing toy thing this early before Thanksgiving? I don't want to think about toys yet. You can write and tell me that you're having a wonderful day. You can write and ask questions. We love it when you ask questions and when you interact with us, because I've got some amazing guests for you today. Okay. So we like to start every morning by reminding you, first of all, before I do that, that we'll have lots of experts who are on the show, but I'm not one of them. I just always want to remind you guys that I'm not an expert in autism. I'm 100% clear on that, and I want you to be 100% clear on that. I'm a mom. My son was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2.5. I was very lucky that we got an early diagnosis and we got an early start. He got early intensive ABA, quality ABA therapy, and that has made all the difference. I considered my son moderate to severe when he was diagnosed, and he is very high functioning and is able to be in a completely included class and is the light of my life. And I know that's because we got the right help at the right time, and I want to help you to find what's right for you. I know that it's not one size fits all, but it's a passion of mine to help you on this journey because people helped me, right? So just remember, not an expert, but somebody who deeply, deeply cares about where you are in this journey, and I know we're all in different places. So use me, not as an expert, because I'm not one of those, but use me as somebody who's a conduit to the experts. Ask the questions and I'll find somebody to answer them. Okay, now the other thing that we like to start every morning with is something we fondly refer to as the jargon of the day. This is when we take on one word, one phrase, one acronym, and we try to make sense of it for you. We give you an actual definition, then we give you a somewhat watered down version to help you to figure out what it is. So today's jargon term is functional pretend play. What you talking about, Willis? Let's start out with our actual definition. Functional pretend play is using lifelike objects in a purely functional, socially conventional way to imitate or act out common action sequences. Thank you. I'm no closer to knowing what functional pretend play is, but there's our actual definition. Let's move on to our working definition. Functional pretend play, playing with toys that are lifelike in a lifelike way. Usually when you go to a toy store, there is one whole aisle that is devoted just to functional pretend play. That's where they sell the vacuum cleaners that don't really work, but might make a whirring sound so that the child can pretend they're vacuuming alongside mom, who is really vacuuming. There's a little kitchenette where they make food items on the stove. There's all the functional pretend play food items. You know, those are great toys for our kids because it's a safe way for them to socially try out their skills without having to deal with the realities of, if we're going to sit there and we're going to eat a cookie, and there's something social about when you're sitting down and playing tea with somebody and you're eating a cookie and you're nom, 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 nom. We can work on table manners and say, oh, we don't make noises when we eat, right? And we can be making eye contact and talking to somebody, and we're dealing with the food, but we're not having to deal with all the swallowing and other things. It's a great, safe place for our kids to try out their skills. It's why we all played house. Safe place to land. Functional pretend play is enjoyable for our kids when we work on it with them and when we jazz it up a little, make it more reinforcing. They love it when we interact with them doing that, and it can be so fun, build skills. Make sure that you include functional pretend play, especially with our younger kids, but to a certain extent, even our older kids, they like to pretend they're adults, don't they? So when you see things like those cash registers, right? Things like that, all functional pretend play. It's a wonderful thing. Encourage it. If you notice, you ever take them to some place where there are toys, kids gravitate towards. So go to the toy store, go down that aisle and find something for your child. They tend to be the less expensive toys, unless you're getting the full-on kitchen. So, and those we can sometimes make out of cardboard, all right? Functional pretend play, it's a good thing. All right, moving on, we always like to give you guys a question of the day to start out the day. And so our question today, since we're starting our toy festival, our festival extravaganza of toys, we want to know what toy has made a difference for your child. What toy is there that just elevated things? I can think of so many things with my son that made such a huge difference. Even a set of blocks. I remember when we started therapy, there was a list of things that we needed to have, and they were toys that I would never have purchased because I would have thought, why? And one of the things was to have a set of blocks, stacking blocks. And we got the little wooden ones, and for some reason, I don't know whether somebody recommended to me, but we got ones that if you turn them around, the faces had different colors. On one side it had a letter, on another side it had a number, on another side it had a shape. I mean, each one of the sides it was something else. That meant nothing to me in that moment in time, but I know that one of the things that they were constantly trying to do is imitation play, where they would set, two blocks on top of each other and see if my son could also do it. We ended up using those blocks to teach so many things: matching, sorting, colors, letters, numbers, shapes. Those toys did hard labor in our house. The other one that was just amazing, that made such a difference, we had a Fisher-Price Noah's Ark boat and the animals. Oh my goodness, because he loved to play with the little characters and he, was interactive with them, but we taught him matching, we taught him features using, we used that toy again and again and again for so many different programs that we ran, and he loved that. He loved that little toy. We since have donated it to another family member so that they can use it, but sometimes a toy just makes all the difference in the learning. So write in and tell us today. Make your recommendations. We want to know what made a difference for your child. But those are two that I can think of for my child. All right, so that's our question of the day. We always have a topic for our week. Do you know what our topic is this week? I bet you think it has something to do with toys. Slightly different, but really it does have to do with toys. Our topic this week is getting to the good stuff. Because at some point, there was a moment when maybe your child, you bought them a toy and they didn't know what to do with it, right? And they played with the box more than they played with the toy. And you want to get to the good stuff where the child plays with the toy and is interested in that. And more importantly, we want to get to the good stuff where the child plays with the toy and interacts with us or another child. When we think of holidays and things coming up, we want to get to the good stuff where we get to have a moment of understanding and communication with our children, when we feel like they understand what's happening enough in their world to be at peace with it and to enjoy it. We want that as parents. We want that for our kids. We all want to get to the good stuff, right? And this is really what Thanksgiving for me is about, is getting to the, now see, I'm going to get emotional because I didn't know. There was a time when I didn't know if we were ever going to get to the good stuff. I loved being around kids, and there's a story that I love to tell all kids when I meet them. It's a silly little story about Wally the Worm, and I would tell that story to every little kid, and I couldn't wait to have a child that I would tell Wally the Worm. And most little kids would say, again, tell the story again. And by the third time I tell it, one child wants to chime in and tell the story with me. And for me, that's the good stuff. That's the good stuff. I love, being around other kids in the holidays and having that moment, and it's the good stuff. And I didn't think we would ever get to that point. And I would tell the story sometimes with my son in the room, and he would act like he wasn't listening and that he didn't care, and he never said again and again, and he never tried to tell the story himself. And And I just didn't know, and I had to trust, and we had to keep doing the right thing. And I remember so distinctly the parking lot in which I was in when I was driving the car, and one day I just heard my son tell the whole story by himself in the back seat. And it was the beginning of getting to the good stuff. I want you to get to the good stuff. And we can. It's a multi-step process, and we have to take care of business. But I want you to know that you can get to the good stuff. It's going to look different for all of us, but it's there. It's waiting for you. So we take these baby steps, and we will get there. And we're going to talk today about tons of hundreds of different ways that we work on getting to the good stuff. So who are we having on the show today? I've already sort of given some of it away. Our guest today, we have Erin Hoffman. We've had her on the show many times before. She's joining us from Lecotech, the amazing company that helps to rate these toys and recommend them for our children. Now you might ask yourself, well, what the heck is Lecotech, right? That's what they like to say at Lecotech. Well, I'm going to let Erin explain to you why they have such expertise in the field of picking toys for kids with that are differently abled. So you'll hear more about that. We are doing Black Friday prep today. We are getting our ducks in a row, picking toys that might be good, that might be on sale. I know it's a controversial topic, talking about Black Friday. A lot of people are saying they're boycotting the Thursday thing. That's fine. But I will tell you that on Friday, there's some incredible deals that are out there for those of us who want to save money and get great toys. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Then in the second hour today, we have Dr. Linda Copeland. She is a pediatrician and a board-certified behavior analyst. Yes, she's both of those. It's one of those things. It's anomaly. It never happens, right? Except that I guess it's happened twice. So she is one of the two board-certified behavior analysts that's also a pediatrician. She's going to be answering your questions. You guys have been writing in. You can still write in. So make sure that you do. We're going to continue to talk about our featured toy of the hour, which is U-Clue. And there it is, right there. I'm telling you, you're going to love it. It's a treasure hunt, and it's fabulous. So we're going to be talking about that in just a minute, and we're going to be joined by Erin Hoffman from Lecotech. But first, take a look at this.
Riley has high-functioning autism, and I'd say I noticed somewhere between 9 months and a year. Looking back now, I can tell you everything. I mean, there was no pointing, there was no shared experiences, speech was not coming, the interactive play was not coming, those things weren't happening. You go to the pediatrician, they tell you, well, sometimes boys are slow or things might take a while to come along, but it still wasn't happening. And right when he hit the 2-year-old room in preschool is when the wheels fell off the wagon. That's when we got some intervention. That's when we figured out, how are we going to address this problem. The first thing I did was I got a mentor, because there's no book on what to do with your autistic child. I mean, there's many books, but each path is individual. So I got a mentor, a really nice woman named Marlene. She has a daughter with Asperger's, and she told me, go to a psychiatrist so you can have your child fully diagnosed and a rock-solid diagnosis that can't really be attacked. Call CARD and do whatever they tell you to do. That was probably the thing she talked about the most. Get in touch with CARD. She actually put me in touch with Evelyn from CARD, and calling CARD was like amazing, because I really felt like things were finally going to be okay. We were going to get the help we needed.
We tried a number of different things before we could get into CARD, and you could really see the difference in the data keeping, really addressing what his issues were, whereas the other places we had been, it seemed pointless to me.
We've talked about this, and I feel like we met a lot of really nice, well-intentioned people.
Right.
And then when we got to CARD, we met a lot of really nice people who could help us because they had the experience. It was ABA, which I think is the only way to go with your child if you're trying to overcome autism. And if you go to CARD, the people are so qualified, and there's so much of a database on how to approach this. It's just like they come right in, and we started off with let's have Riley sit down for 2 seconds, because he couldn't even get that. And we worked on baby steps until now he's in first grade and he's working at grade level. So it just starts with baby steps and it keeps working on, because they have a way to approach every single problem, every single tantrum, every single thing you're going to come up with. They have a way to approach it and help you get through it.
Yeah, I'm always amazed, like at our clinic, we'll be having a specific problem and how good they are, all of them, the therapist and your team leader, at coming up with a solution, something to try, and it almost always works. Whatever the particular behavior you're trying to deal with, they're really good at them. They know the answers.
He likes a lot of stuff I think regular 7-year-olds like. He likes to swim.
He loves to swim.
He's a fish. Likes to ride a scooter, loves Toy Story, loves playing on the iPad.
Loves Justin Bieber.
Thought you all baby mine.
Good job, buddy.
High five.
High five.
High five.
Yeah.
CARD's been good about encouraging us to do things that maybe wouldn't occur to us, like him learning to ride a bike was really them saying, hey, it's time, let's do this, and helping us do that. And so he can ride a bike. He's still working on the brakes a little bit, but you know, he can pedal a bike. We can go to Balboa Park and he'll ride happy as a clam along the bike path.
If you think something's wrong, it's not about you. Don't bury your head in the sand. Go get help, because the help is out there to make your life and your child's life just so much better. And if you're lucky enough to get in with CARD, I can't even tell you what a difference it's made in our lives from 4 years ago. Just the quality of life we have, the quality of life Riley has, the progress he's made from being a child who wanted to stay in his room and play Toy Story and line up his Toy Story dolls all day, to a first grader who's working at grade level. It couldn't have happened without CARD intervention, without ABA, and without all the wonderful people we met there.
Autism. What is autism?
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 I've been asking myself that for a very, very long time.
Let me think about that one.
Trying to,
Jeez. Let me think. Oh man, that's a rough one. Yes.
Autism is a neurological disorder that affects many of our kids in different ways.
It's a learning disability that affects the cognitive functions of the brain.
A lot of people have the misconception that it's a disability, and it's really not.
I look at it as like a special gift.
When one person thinks differently from another.
It's an opportunity for everyone to learn to understand someone that's a little different than them. Autism is the ability to educate.
They're given so much talent in different areas.
To me, autism means a chance to be with and be around people you really care about. Autism is beautiful.
It's a way of seeing the world differently.
Always unique, totally intelligent, and sometimes mysterious.
Happiness that comes out of my son's hard work.
It's a movement.
Unpredictable.
That's right.
Awesome. Love.
The field I want to work in.
Laughter, fun, joy. Autism is beautiful to me.
I want you to remember these 3 words. There is hope.
Welcome back to Autism Live. I mentioned at the start of the show that today we were going to be talking about this fabulous guide. This is the Toys R Us toy guide for differently abled children. And I mentioned to you that we love this because it's put together with the help of our friends at Lecotech. So joining us right now from Lecotech is Erin Hoffman. Erin, welcome back.
Hello.
Thank you for having us again.
We're so thrilled. Are you kidding me? This is a big treat for us. And I want to start by saying that you are somebody who is instrumental in the development of this guide. So we owe you a big thank you. If you were here, we'd want to give you a big smooch on your forehead. But this is a wonderful, wonderful tool. So let's start out by talking about how you envision parents using this wonderful toy guide for differently abled children. Oh, and we lost her. We're having issues with Skype this morning, but we'll get her back. Figures to the moment I ask her to say something, that's when we lose her. But I was at Toys R Us this morning with my husband, and we were using this toy guide. And I mentioned to you guys before that there are these lovely icons. And when we get Erin back, she's going to be talking with us about what these icons mean and how you can use this to make your dollars make more sense when you go toy shopping. I don't know about you, but having a child that's on the autism spectrum is sometimes really overwhelming. And what I want to do is give him great toys. But I can't. Oh, she's back. Wonderful. So I was just talking a little bit about the guide, but I want to hear it from you, Erin. So let's start over. And I want to remind you that this is Erin Hoffman from Lecotech. Wonderful, wonderful Lecotech. And we're going to talk more about Lecotech in just a second. But talk to us, Erin, about the guide and what you envision this guide being able to do. Oh, we need you to put up your video first, because I cannot see you yet. And we lost her again. Skype is not my friend this morning. All right, we're going to keep trying to get Erin back. And next time we're just going to go right to it. But anyway, I want to give a couple examples here. There are some toys that we showcased from this wonderful, wonderful guide. And by the way, there's toys for children of all ages and all abilities in here. So there are toys, and it kind of goes age-wise from the beginning to the end. But if you look in the very beginning, they've got some toys for itty-bitty little kids. Like one of the things that I was looking at this morning was a baby Einstein octopus. That it's very tactile, but you push the button and something happens. We want those kinds of toys for our kids as early as possible. These helped to build things going on in the brain so that our children they do something and they see that there's a reaction. Very helpful social toy. Love these O-balls. We've featured those before on the show, that if your kids are having a hard time catching, these are the balls that have the holes in them. It gives more opportunities for them to be successful at catching the ball. But it goes all the way up to toys that are for kids who are much more advanced. And including, there's a tablet, the Curio tablet that is featured in this year's guide. Wonderful, wonderful toy that's a learning tool, and got the safe bumper. You're not having to go spend money on the actual tablet and then go spend more money than you spend on the tablet on the thing to make sure that your child on the autism spectrum can be safe and not destroy the tablet, right? Well, the Curio comes with that already, which is really a remarkable thing. So endless toys. All right. I think we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and see if we can get Erin on so that she can be talking about this, and I want her to tell you what Lecotech does. So stick with us.
Skills is an online program that provides assessment, curriculum, positive behavior support planning for challenging behavior, and progress tracking, and it does this all in one place. The skills assessment and curriculum addresses 8 areas of development, which even includes advanced higher level areas such as executive functions and cognition, which pretty much makes skills the only ABA-based set of curricula for teaching more complex skills, things like problem solving, planning, self-management, perspective taking, and even inferring and predicting others' private events. Skills is a 4-step system. Step 1 is to add the child to your account. Step 2 is to start assessment. The skills assessment is the only ABA-based assessment with psychometric research demonstrating the language subscale to have excellent reliability. Every area of human functioning and typical child development from infancy to adolescence was researched, making the skills assessment the most comprehensive of its kind in the world, and we're quite proud of that.
Skills is easy to use. Simply click Start Assessment and begin answering questions. Or simply type in a keyword, find specific activities to assess, and add activities to treatment. Step 3. Choose activities. Once you've completed the assessment, Skills selects from a pool of 4,000 activities categorized by age, level, and skill type to provide you with exactly those activities each child needs. Start by choosing a curriculum, then a lesson, and finally an activity. Click the information icon to view prerequisites, ages in which targets develop, examples, and IEP goals. Click the video icon to watch a short video. Once you've identified an activity you want to teach, adding activities to treatment is a snap. Step 4. Start treatment. Here you can access customizable activity lesson details, add your own customized targets and exemplars, and edit an activity status such as introducing or mastering it. You can even print handouts such as worksheets, tracking forms, visual aids, and other materials. Skills also offers multiple progress charts mapping curriculum progress, lesson progress, and cumulative number of activities and targets mastered over time. The Skills language curriculum is categorized by verbal behavior type so that users can identify progress for verbal operants, such as echoics, mans, tax, and interverbals.
Skills is one of the only programs that provides the ability to write behavior intervention plans, or BIPs, for challenging behavior.
With just a few clicks, the outline of the behavior intervention plan is written for you and ready to be printed and implemented.
You can learn more about Skills today and get started by visiting us at www.skillsforautism.com, or you can call us at 877-975-4559. Skills. Progress starts here.
Welcome back to Autism Live. Right now on the phone, we have Erin Hoffman from Lecotech. She was absolutely instrumental in creating this guide, the toy guide, Toys R Us toy guide for differently abled children. So Erin, welcome back.
Thank you.
I'm so thrilled that we at least have you on the phone. So before we lost the Skype connection, I was asking you to tell us what you want how you want parents to be able to use this guide.
Well, you know, the thing that's really great about this year's guide is that we're #1 celebrating 20 years, which is very exciting that the guide has been a great resource for families for 20 years. But the thing that we're trying to promote this year is that this is toys for all in here, that everyone can use this guide, whether they have a child with special needs or not, as a resource to find great toys and play products for them. And every child is developing at different ages and stages, so we really urge you to use this as a resource and find those skill development icons on auditory, creativity, fine motor as your guide to find what toy might be best for the child you're purchasing.
You've made it so easy for us, Erin, to shop with confidence, and I think that that's a wonderful gift. So let's talk some toys here to start with. You had mentioned that one of the toys that you wanted to talk about today, this lovely turtle.
We love him. He's so helpful to kiddos that are, you know, small and they're starting to scoot and crawl and maybe they're learning to walk. Those balls, after you push the top of the turtle, he spins around and those balls are going to drop out of his little feet, and that provides the kids an incentive to go after them. So they're going to be able to use their gross motor skills to scoot or crawl or walk to go get the balls. So it's exciting for little ones.
I love that. We love to encourage them to be moving around and doing fun things. What else did you want to talk about? I'm going to page through the guide here.
Absolutely. So the next one I was going to talk about is educational insights. They have a whole line of products called Hot Dots, which we love for the virtual appeal that kids like, but also that realistic, tangible approach to learning that moms and dads and, of course, therapists love as well. It's interactive. Kids are using their fine motor skills, the skill that they need specifically for handwriting at school, holding a pencil or a marker for coloring, and they're learning about letters and numbers and shapes and animals. The one that I was going to talk about specific, getting ready for school. So it's all that stuff that little kindergartners need to know before they get to school.
Fabulous.
Yeah, and the next one, which is exciting, we are able to raffle off to your listeners, is the U-Clue Early Reader Treasure Hunt game, as well as the U-Clue Riddle Edition. So the great thing about these games is that it's not a board game that you're sitting at the table with family, which, of course, is beneficial to promoting interaction and family bonding, but this is allowing kids to get up and move and use their entire house as a game board. And so it's promoting literacy skills. So the kids are learning new words, and there's a reference guide included in both games so that kids can try and find out the word on their own without having mom or dad tell them what the word is. So there are picture clues to help them along their way. So those two are going to be raffled off to you guys, which we're excited about from UCLU.
We are so excited about that. I meant to bring, because we actually have this game at home, and we love to play this, and I meant to bring my version of it with me today. I did not, because it gets used a lot. But in any case, super fun toy, so many different ways that it helps our kids. We absolutely love this, and I love the concept of that it's a very interactive toy. It is a board game, and so we're all participating. There's that social element to it, but you're right, it turns your whole house into the treasure hunt. It's so much fun. It's a smart
and that surprise of whatever is hidden at the end, you know?
Yes, it is so very much fun. Okay, what else did you want to talk about? I'm having so much fun.
Yeah, so Hasbro Chasin' Cheeky, I think this is kind of a new version of ring toss. So the little monkey is scurrying around on the floor, and kids are using little rings, like from a ring toss, and they're trying to use their gross motor skills, balance and coordination, and of course hand-eye coordination too, to try and toss the ring onto his little tail. So it's fun for kids to move around and try and get that reward of placing the ring on his tail.
So, Erin, when you're picking these toys to go into the toy guide, what is your criteria? What are you looking for to have a toy make it to the guide?
You know, we're looking for things that are, number one, they're going to be fun, and they're going to be an incentive and encouraging for kids to use, and beneath all of the fun is going to have promotion of child development and milestones they're working on that they have no idea that those things are happening.
Yeah.
So the beauty of doing the Toys R Us guide is that we're using all of these toys within our now 17 Lecotech sites across 9 states. And we're able to have our families dive into these products with their therapists and decide, how did this work for that child? Was it exciting? Was it fun? Did it engage them? Did it help them with any of the skill icons that are listed throughout the Toys R Us guide?
Well, and you mentioned that you have centers around the country. So let's stop for a second and talk about why Lecotech really is qualified to be able to put this guide together. Tell people, what the heck is Lecotech?
Yay, we love that slogan. What the heck is Lecotech? Well, we are a toy lending library for children with special needs and their families. We are not only seeing a child that has special needs, but we are also seeing children that are typically developing, we're figuring out how toys can unite these families together and these siblings to be able to play. So we have lots and lots and lots of different toys. Our national Lecotech site where I work, we have over 8,000 toys in our library currently, right now, active in our library. And so we have seen so many different products come through our doors, and we know what we like and what we don't like, really, and so do our families. And so each child is subjective when we're picking out toys for them. You know, we don't use all of the same toys or play value activities with them. That's why we have all of these toys, so that we can find the right ones for them and make sure that they're getting the fun and value of play out of each of those products.
Yeah, and so to be a member and to be able to borrow from your library, where can people go to participate in this wonderful, wonderful idea?
So the best place to go is lecotech.org, LEKOTEK.org, and it will have the listing of all of our sites, the 17 of them across 9 states, listed on the site, with a lot of other information about the things that we do outside of our individual family play sessions that families come to get our toys. We also do lots of play groups, and we do parent support groups and community activities. So there's a lot of opportunity within our sites, our Lecotech sites.
And you're so remarkably smart. This is such a service that is so needed, because there are a lot of families that are out there that have given up hope that their children are going to get interested in toys. They've gone and they've spent a whole bunch of money. It wasn't the right toy at the right time for the child. I love the idea that you can go to a center, you can have somebody help you to find toys that are right for your child at this moment in time and show you how to use the toys well, help you to engage the child in the toy, and then how often do people come back and change the toys?
Well, they get to change them out monthly. So they'll come to our center for an hour play session where we teach them about the toy. We teach them new ideas. on how to adapt them or play with them in a different way than the rules or the box might state. And then they take them home for the whole month and bring them back the next month and change them out and have a whole nother hour-long play session.
It's so cost effective, and it helps for it to be really reinforcing to the kids. It's like having Christmas every single month at a fraction of the cost. It's super duper smart, and it also makes you incredibly qualified to know which toys are going to be right for our kids that are differently abled, that they're going to find reinforcing, and they're going to build those skills, which qualifies you to be able to put these icons together in this wonderful, wonderful toy guide.
You said that beautifully, Shannon.
Well, I think it's a beautiful idea. It's one of the reasons why we love you guys at Lecotech. So the next time one of you are thinking, what the heck is Lecotech? I hope that you'll remember. It's a great, great thing. And again, you can participate if you live close to a center. It's a wonderful gift on the face of the earth. And Erin, I'm so sorry that we didn't get to see your lovely face.
I know, sorry.
And more importantly, we didn't get to see all the cool toys, but the fact of the matter is that the toys are in the guide, and the guide is free, and the guide is available online. You can go to Toys R Us, and in the search bar, you can put in differently abled toy guide. It comes right up. You can search by skill, or you can search through the whole guide. I know, because I go on there and search all the time. Super duper wonderful, and you can check out the icons that work for the child. Any other last minute advice you have for families, or do you have another toy that you want to tell them about, Erin?
Oh, sure. I can talk about, lastly, I think Zoomer, it was very popular last year. It's going to be very popular this year as they've expanded the line from Spin Master. They have a dinosaur now, which I know a lot of kids are interested in dinosaurs, and they have mini little puppies. So not only are these going to teach kids patience, because they do need to train the animals on how to sit and stay and listen, but it will also develop their language, and it's a really fun, inclusive toy that other kids are going to have, and it is accessible for a lot of kids. So I think it's a wonderful toy.
I think it's really a precursor for having a pet, too, because a lot of our kids on the spectrum, they want pets. We know that it's very reinforcing for them to have pets, but when you have a living, breathing thing, a child has to be trained to be nice to it and to understand how to interact with it. And I think this is a great precursor for it. Lovely dog. And I think our older kids will love the robotic aspect of it. It's a cool, cool toy.
Absolutely.
Zoomer. We saw those this morning. We were at Toys R Us this morning, and love it. There are some that look like Dalmatians. There are some that look like other. I didn't see a dinosaur though. That would be cool too.
Yeah, the dino is awesome. He is really great.
Well, Erin, we so love that you've done so much of our homework for us.
Thank you.
We so appreciate it. I love this toy guide. Couldn't say enough nice things about it. Love these icons. It reminds us, because once we bought the toy, sometimes we're not 100% sure what to do with it. I always recommend going back and seeing what kinds of things you can see from the icons, how you can maximize that toy, make it a super toy.
Exactly. That's what we're here for.
Well,
Lecotech is always available for any questions. If you need something outside of the Toys R Us guide and you have other questions, we're always available. To find us at Lecotech at lecotech.org or call us anytime.
Okay, Erin, thank you, and thank everybody at Lecotech for us. We think you guys are doing remarkable work.
Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to take a break, and we're going to be right back after these messages.
Hi, I'm Billy Baldwin. I'm taking the Autism-Live Challenge in honor of my nephew, Atticus, and now I am going to draw something with my eyes closed for somebody that I love very much. You want to see it from this side with my eyes closed?
I know he didn't do that blindfolded.
I challenge my brother Alec, my brother Stephen, and President Obama to take the Autism Challenge, the Autism-Live Challenge. Also donate to helpforautism.org, helpforautism.org. Together, we can make a difference. I've heard that line somewhere before.
Hi, I'm Daniel Baldwin. I'm taking the Autism Act of Love Challenge in support of my son, Atticus. Now I will draw something I love with my eyes closed. Now I will draw something that I love with my eyes closed. Hey, Atticus, guess what? And now I will draw something I love with my eyes closed. And now I will play the trumpet. Hang on. Fourth color, cheating. All right, that was close enough. Help us raise the money so they may grow.
Hi, I'm Isabella Hoffman, and I'm here to take the Autism Act of Love Challenge to show support for my son, Atticus Baldwin. Now, I will draw something that I love with my eyes closed. Here we go. Hang on. Oh, I can't go farther. I have no idea what's happening. I can't see it. So, I challenge Daniel Baldwin, Stephen Baldwin, and Billy Baldwin. Please take this challenge. Also, remember to donate to helpforautism.org. Together we can make a difference.
Hall, and I'm taking the Autism Act of Love Challenge to show support for all the kids, teens, young adults of the Miracle Project. Now I will draw something that I love with my eyes closed. Jeff Freimer, I challenge you. Ryan Berman, I challenge you. Marianne Keller, I challenge you to take this challenge.
Welcome back to Autism Live. Today is the first day of the Toy Festival, and I want to say a couple of things about that, but you were just watching a bunch of our friends and celebrities taking the Autism Act of Love Challenge. I want to remind you that this is the season of giving, and we all have something to give, right? Whether it's a talent or attention or money, we all have something to give. So if you're in lack and feeling like I have nothing to give, I've got nothing left, I want to remind you that we always have something to give. And sometimes what our kids need is just our attention and saying you matter, right? And sometimes what they need is help and support, and sometimes what they need is funding, right? And all of those things are true in the field of autism, and I want to remind you that the Autism Act of Love Challenge is designed to give all of those or any of those. So you saw some people taking the Act of Love Challenge. It's easy. It's a 3-marker challenge. You either need to close your eyes or wear a blindfold. And I kind of love how creative you guys have gotten about blindfolds. Some of you guys have been sending in videos. Your blindfolds are really kind of fun. What you thought to do, you know, some people are using a scarf. Again, some people are closing their eyes or using sunglasses or, you know, whatever. Sleep masks, that's what we did. But you're supposed to draw something that you love with 3 markers with your eyes closed. And you're supposed to do it in honor of someone that you love on the autism spectrum or somebody that you care about on the autism spectrum. I'll tell you what happens when you do that. First of all, you let the world know how many people care about individuals who are on the autism spectrum. And we encourage you to only use their first name because sometimes people don't want all of their business on the internet, and some people don't necessarily want everybody to know what their diagnosis is, right? So we encourage you to use first names. That shows the most respect. But honestly, my son loves watching the videos and saying, oh, you know, they did that for somebody named Johnny, or they took that challenge for somebody named Rebecca, or, you know, oh, you know, that's for somebody named Wyatt. I wonder if it's my friend Wyatt. And he's loved when anybody has taken the challenge in his name. I just see him, the self-esteem that it gives him. We're always looking for ways to give our kids self-esteem. So take the challenge in honor of somebody that you love. Challenge other people. You know, it's so hard sometimes as an autism parent to say to somebody, look, I need you to do this because my child has autism, or I need you to do this to support the autism community. Some of you are so much better at it than I am. When it comes time to do the walks, I'm always hemming and hawing. I've never been one of those people that puts together a big team of people and gets the t-shirts and has everybody come out and support. I feel funny about asking people, but I'll tell you what I don't feel funny about is asking them to do this challenge. You know, honestly, it's simple to do, it's fun to do, and it does make a difference. And if you challenge 3 people and you tell them to challenge 3 people, where does it end? It just gets bigger and bigger. And here's the other thing, is that we encourage everybody, if you can, to donate any amount. It could be $1. If you've got $1, donate $1. If you've got $20, that's great too. But we're not saying to anybody, you must donate $100 and you must do this challenge within 24 hours or you have to donate $100. It's what you can afford. We know that it's a season of giving and that you're giving to other people too. But whatever you can afford, every dollar makes a difference to help our kids. It helps to put toys in their hands that help them to learn and grow. It helps to give them access to therapies that will make a difference for them. It helps for the parents to be able to afford to go to the doctor to find out what medically is necessary for the child to be healthy so that they can learn and grow. Those are all important things, and I think all of us who've had a child on the autism spectrum have had at least one moment, and it may be this moment in time that you've thought to yourself, I can't afford to do what I need to do. And you know, it's different for everybody what it is that you can't afford to do, but I think everybody has had that moment of reality and saying, I can't afford this. Imagine if you couldn't afford anything. If you make a donation, and you make a donation to helpforautism.org, you're making a donation to Autism Care and Treatment Today. They are a very reputable 501c3 charity that gives grants to families for what the families need, not what somebody else decided. So one family can say, you know, what we really need is an iPad, and another family can say what we really need is a fence, and another family can say what we really need is a trampoline, and someone else can say, I really need to be able to pay the copay for my treatment. Another person can say, I really need to be able to pay for the special pediatrician who can tell me what is happening with my child's intestines and why they're moaning and pressing their bellies across a table because they're in so much pain gastrointestinally. So we all have different needs and different requirements where we need somebody to fill the gap, and that's what Autism Care and Treatment does. There are 4 different times in the year when they give grants, and then they give SOS grants throughout the year for families that are in immediate need of assistance because it's a matter of life and death. It's a pretty remarkable organization. I'm very familiar with them, and I can highly recommend them. That's where your dollar goes. Helpforautism.org. Take the Autism Act of Love Challenge. Make a difference. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back to talk about Black Friday, how we're going to make it work. Stick with us.
Hola, mi nombre es Juan Ronderos. Este es el Autism Act of Love Challenge. Quiero hacerlo en honor a todos los niños hispanos que son diagnosticados con el trastorno autista. Quiero también retar e invitarlos a este challenge a todas las personas que han participado en estos segmentos Autismo y Familia. Esto es Erwin Herrera, la Ventanilla de Salud. Esto es Fátima Castañeda de Season Family Focus Resource Center. Esto es Josefina Nieves de Fiesta Educativa. Ivonne Sacieta de Madre con Niño con Autismo. Y cualquier otra persona que haya estado en estos shows Autismo y Familia. ¿Okay? Y también en Colombia a Sergio Franqui. Quiero invitarlo a este challenge. ¿Okay? Hoy voy a dibujar a mis dos nietos, Tobías y Nico Joaquín, con los ojos cerrados. No, vamos a ver qué nos sale. Este va a ser Nico Joaquín. Ahí está. Nico Joaquín va a estar jugando golf porque a Nico Joaquín le encanta jugar golf. Ok. Vamos a dibujarle el pelo a Nico Joaquín. Ok. Y una sonrisa en la nariz. Nico Joaquín jugando golf. Ahora vamos a dibujar a Tobías, que es un poco más pequeño. Tobillitas va a estar aquí más chiquito, ¿no es cierto? Y a Tobías le encanta el agua, la pasa diciendo agua, agua y le gusta chapotear. Entonces aquí va a estar Tobillitas, vamos a ver, con el agua, chapoteando. Vamos a poner, haciendo sus bombas de agua. Estas son las manitos de Tobías y ahí está, chapoteando. Bueno. Y a Nico Joaquín el color favorito es verde. Creo que este es el verde, espero que este sea el verde. Está jugando en el jardín. Ok. Vamos a ver cómo nos quedó. Sí era el verde. Wow. Ok. Bueno, espero que este challenge nos ayude a todos a levantar concientización sobre qué es el autismo. Y por favor, no duden en donar a helpforautism.org. Ahí pueden hacer sus donaciones, cualquier cantidad que quieran, ¿ok? Muchas gracias.
That was our very own Juan Ronderos. I can't do it. I can't trill the R. Ronderos Torres. And he does our Autism Live en Español on Friday. It's a segment called Autismo y Familia. And you can watch that on our YouTube channel. It posts by 3 o'clock on Fridays. And he has some wonderful guests. And if you are Spanish speaking or you know somebody who has an individual who's on the spectrum or maybe on the spectrum who is Spanish speaking, we really encourage you to check out that new segment on our show. He's just tearing it up. He's a wonderful, wonderful young man who is so devoted to helping our kids. So check that out on our YouTube channel, Autismo y Familia. Really, really fun. Okay, so I promised that we were going to talk a little bit about Black Friday prep. I sort of feel like we should have one of those Black Friday kind of things that shakes everything. It's like an earthquake in the studio. I know it's not everybody's favorite thing to talk about, the commercialization of the holidays. And I know that a lot of people are protesting Black Friday this year because there's more and more stores opening earlier and earlier on Thursday, and it kind of cuts into family time and the whole idea of taking some time off together, sitting, eating a meal, and having a good time together. And you know, I've always got a different take on things, right? I'm not a football widow. We don't watch football in our house. I was determined when I got married that my father, you know, you could tell what time of year it was by how our lives ran around the television with sports. And I was not interested in that in a spouse, and my husband blissfully is not into football. So we've got free time, and we tend to decorate and play a lot of games and do things on that Thursday. So, you know, it wasn't cutting into too much for us when they started having things open a little bit earlier on Thursday. It's getting earlier and earlier. And I don't agree that that's a wonderful thing. But I will say this. When you have a child who's on the autism spectrum and you are trying to make your dollar go as far as it can in terms of, we know we have to buy toys, whether it's a holiday or not. We need to get toys for our child so that they've got safe ways to work on the skills that they're working on. it's a safe way to fail, right? That's really what play is all about. You're trying things on and you have the opportunity to not get it right, and it's no big deal, right? Because it's a game and you didn't win. It's all right. Life goes on. We can teach so many things when we're playing a game because we've kind of lowered the expectations. You don't have to succeed at everything that you do. So toys are awesome to work on in that way. And there can be really reinforcing if we work on them in the right way. So if we know we're going to buy toys, why not get them cheaper? And so many places where you already shop and have access to are having huge sales on Black Friday and on Thanksgiving Day and on Saturday and on Sunday. So there are apps that you can get that are free that will give you, the guides are already out. You don't even have to wait and get the newspaper on Wednesday morning or Thursday morning, whenever it comes out. The guides are out. You can find them. There are lots of just, go to the App Store and put in Black Friday. There are several that are out there. You can find the one that you like the best. And I like to pour through them and have my list, encourage my child to make his list of what he wants, and I like to go through with my Lego Tech guide. Toys R Us, by the way, has great sales. Some of these very toys are on sale on Friday. You're going to be able to get them cheaper on Friday than you can any other day in the year. So I like to look at all those things, my son's list, what's rated good for our kids, what may have won some awards. By the way, we're going to be featuring a bunch of toys that have won a bunch of awards. And then I kind of plan my strategy. I happen to have a husband who loves to shop. Lucky me. And he's much better at the Black Friday thing than I am. But what I also want to tell you is that this year, more than any other year, the things that are on Black Friday are available online. There are some stores that are having a special click and reserve starting on Thursday that you can go on while your turkey's cooking and you're watching the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. You can go online, reserve what it is that you want to do, never leave your house, never have to put anything other than your fuzzy slippers on, and then you can pick it up on Friday. I imagine the line will be long to pick it up, but it can't be as long as it will be to stand in line to buy the toy and then stand in line to buy it at the register anyway. So I encourage all of you to save some money. And by the way, it's not just toys that are on sale. If there are things that you need around the home, it's about saving money. I can remember 2 years ago, we desperately needed a new vacuum cleaner. And it was something that we needed for our health and to keep our house. But we were able to get it for 75% off on Black Friday, which meant that I had more money to spend on other things besides a vacuum cleaner. So think about, what money was I going to spend anyway? This is not a day to go and randomly spend money and spend all the money that you have in your account, but what did you need to buy anyway? What are you in need of? What do you need to stock up on? And what toys would be beneficial to your child? A great opportunity. I've always said that I can get twice as much on Black Friday than I could any other day of the year. So plan accordingly. All right, so we're going to take a break now, and we are going to check out The A Word. This is an ongoing documentary being made by the Center for Autism and Related Disorders, following a little boy, Jack Riley, who has started his early intensive behavioral intervention. He's getting the best quality ABA therapy, and we get to take a peek into his house to see how he's growing as his family grows. He's a new big brother. He's got a new baby sister, so let's take a look what's happening this week with Jack Riley. This is The A Word.
I know a cute little blue-eyed boy, and his name is Jack.
Jack Riley.
He got a big, warm, blue-eyed soul that makes your heart beat fast.
That's so cool. Thanks, guys.
Over a year since he was diagnosed, and
10 months since he started ABA, and I don't think at the time we really understood that you can be happy, fun, and still have autism. We were at Disneyland trying new foods, and he's open-minded to it. Eating was a nightmare a year ago, and now it's not. Just in the last week, we've noticed like huge differences in what he was willing to try then versus what he's willing to try now.
You want to try a pear? Can you kiss it for a piece of cookie? You want to kiss it? Yeah. Come here.
up to a few months ago, you show the kid a banana and he would go nuts. He ate it every day, but he didn't want to know that he was eating it. And a week ago, he asked for it.
Just ate it. Now he asks for him every day and he has a banana. I don't know what changed, but it just did.
So good. Oh, that's so good. I wouldn't have even considered giving him a chewable vitamin 6 months ago. And I just hand it to him now and say he's got a chomp, and he knows that he has to crunch down on it. Good job.
We're ecstatic about his development. I don't wake up every morning anymore thinking I have a child with autism. I just think I have two great kids.
I'm in tears. I'm watching this, and our topic this week is getting to the good stuff. And could there be a better example of, we have a moment where a child sees a banana and cries, that it's trauma to him. We don't completely understand why, but we don't give up on it and go, oh, well, that's just autism. We're not going to be able to work on it. Slowly, systematically, they work on it. And I love that moment when he takes the bite and you see his dad jumping up and down in the background. That's how we get to the good stuff. This really is the good stuff. And I know this wasn't what we planned on being the good stuff. It's still the good stuff. I always used to say, one of the gifts of having a child, one of the many gifts of having a child with special needs, is that we are granted the opportunity to see the miracles that other people take for granted. When I think about my whole life, how I wandered through life, and I loved children, loved being an aunt, loved watching children as they began to learn to speak and grow and speak in sentences and communicate, and I took it for granted. I just sort of, took it for granted that a child who, comes out of the womb and knows nothing eventually gets to the point where they're having a conversation such as this. And how does that happen? And how do they build on all these little things to get to the point where they can have a conversation? When my child lost his language and was diagnosed with autism, it was devastating. It was absolutely devastating. But as we regained with him his ability to speak and to communicate, it was a privilege to watch how that can develop. It was an absolute privilege, and every single word he learned was another miracle that we celebrated. One of the great side effects of being an ABA family, a quality ABA family, is that you celebrate. It's not unusual for people in your household to be going, yay, and jumping up and down and throwing things and in excitement because we're celebrating a moment. And, there are plenty of other things that are not great about being an autism family that is an ABA family, right? But that's one of the great things. And I will take that and hang on to that, because what a wonderful thing. We were someplace the other day, and I was talking to my son, and I was telling him how proud I was of him and how excited I was about something that he had done. And we were someplace public, and somebody was walking by us and stopped and said, that's a good thing you're doing there. And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, it's a really good thing that you're praising your child. And I said, oh, we know a lot about that. I've said before on the show, when Jem was little, that Fat Boy Slim song, Praise Him, was out, and that was our theme song, that we would do the little dance, and it was my way of remembering I have to praise him for the things that he does. And as a parent, that's a great thing to learn. That's a great burden to have, that you want to praise your child and reward them and celebrate when they meet milestones. That's when we get to the good stuff. It totally, totally is. I want to remind you to watch the A Word in whatever way that suits you. You can start in the beginning, work your way through chronologically, start in the middle, and see something and go, how did they get to that point? And then rewind and see all the steps that they took to get to that point. But it is miraculous. I'm sorry if that offends anybody, but I think it is miraculous when we watch our kids make the progress that they so richly deserve. So check out the A Word, amazing family, celebrate along with them, and remember to celebrate yourself every time you meet a milestone, every time you gain a new skill. Celebrate. It helps to maintain it. First of all, it helps to ensure that the next milestone is met, and it feels really good after all that hard work. It feels really good to celebrate with your kid. It'll draw you closer together as a family. Okay, taking a breath. I want to comment. I love when you guys share on our Facebook page. And a lot of times, I'll go on the Facebook page and I'll read the questions that you guys have written in. More often than not, the questions that you guys write on the Facebook page are, can you post this for me, or can I post this on your page? Let me just tell you, you can all post on our Facebook page. You all have my permission, post on our Facebook page. If there's something that you want to promote in your local area, you're doing a fundraiser for something, post it on our page. We want you guys to communicate and talk about the things that are important to you. If it gets to the point where you're posting something that's inappropriate, we'll tell you and we'll take it down. But post on our Facebook page, have a ball. And I love that we have a viewer who posted the link to the Toys R Us guide. Absolutely love that. Help us, interact with us. We love this. And that you're loving hearing about all these toys. I know that you've got somebody who's turning 5. I cannot even believe that your child is turning 5, 6 days before Christmas. I can imagine that everybody's asking, what does he want? Listen, we've got more toys coming down the pike. We showed you some great toys this morning. We've got more toys coming down the pike. In fact, I didn't do the toy of the hour yet. Slap me silly. I love headbands, and each year for the last couple of years, Headbands has come up with a new game. Well, this is the new version for this year, which, by the way, featured in the toy guide for differently abled children. Headbands Act Up. Love this. This is the game where you put on a headband. It's a little plastic headband, which, by the way, is a great way to work with kids if they're sensitive and they don't want to wear a hat. This is a really reinforcing way to work on that. It has some fine motor things to it because you have to clip the little card into the hat, and the child doesn't get to see what is on their card. There are different headbands that work on different things. This one is called Act Up, and basically it's like charades for kids. But what it does is you're wearing a picture on your head of something, and it has the text for it too that says what it is. I was playing this with my husband this morning, and on his head he had accordion. So he has to guess the word accordion in order to get the point, and I, and anybody else who's playing, I have to act out accordion so that he can get it. All right, what are we working on here? First of all, we're working on perspective taking. How great is this? Because the child can't see what is on their head, but they see that other people can. And they're trying to guess what those people are doing based on what they can see. Oh, this is such a great social connected thing for them to be able to have to shift their perspective to think they're looking at something and they're doing something as a result of it. Now, for the people on the other side, this morning I did something for accordion, and I was doing all this, playing something, and I was doing this, and my husband said, it's a saw. So now I had to think, okay, that's what he saw. What can I do that shows him accordion? I had to put myself in his place for a second. So it's perspective taking on both sides. It makes me so proud when toys can help us to work on that level of thing. These games, Headbands is particularly good at helping our children to work on questions. In the original Headbands, they give you also prompt cards that gives questions for their kids to ask until they know what to ask. It can work on time. It's physical, so we're working on gross motor. I love Headbands. These are really affordably priced, and a lot of these are on sale at like ridiculously low prices for Black Friday. Like you just won't even believe. I don't know if the Act Up version is, but I already know that some of the other versions are on sale really low price for Black Friday. If you need birthday gifts throughout the year and you don't want to have that panic of running to the store and buying something that costs more that you can afford, you can get a couple of Headbands to stick in your closet. They make great gifts. Really well-made game too. I love the boxes. The boxes hold up. That matters to me. This is a family game. This particular one is rated 8 and up, and the reason why is because there is text on the cards to read. So if you have a child that's hyperlexic, you can know that you can do something earlier. You can absolutely be working on actions with this one. And if you play in teams, you can do this with a child who does not yet read. So you can ignore the 8 if you work in teams, if you've got enough people. So, you know, your child and Aunt Becky can be on a team together, and Aunt Becky can whisper what it says on the text. Now we're teaching the child to read because it also has a picture on it. The child is pairing this together, and then they're going to do it in motion. Your child's going to learn how to read. Love headbands, act up. This is our toy of the hour. We'll probably talk about this a little bit more. Absolutely love it. Check it out. Okay, we are going to take a break. I have no idea what time it is, but we're going to take a break. And in just a few minutes, we're going to be joined by Dr. Linda Copeland. She is both a pediatrician and a board-certified behavior analyst. That's a very rare thing. We're so lucky to have her on the show joining us. She's going to be answering questions that you guys are writing in and have written in. So if you have a question for somebody who's a pediatrician who understands behavior, write it in right now. Stick with us. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hi, I'm Ryan with Autism Research Group. We study ways to improve the lives of kids with autism. One of those ways is teaching safety skills, such as what to do if they get lost. We hit the streets to find out if anybody knows the correct answer on how to teach a kid what to do if they get lost. You're teaching a child.
What to do if they get lost.
Yeah, you're trying to make them
Okay.
independent so they have the skills.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, give them a compass. Code name's good idea. Centurion.
We always have this whistle.
Oh, I'd
Figuring
also
out
tell
that
the
was
kid, don't get scared. It's all, you're gonna be all right, man. This is just the world. This is planet Earth. You're at home here. As long as you're on planet Earth, you're at home.
As long as you're on planet Earth, you're home. This guy's a genius. With that flawless logic, he just solved our homeless problem. And as for the unique sounding whistle, although very cool, it'll probably only work if you're in close proximity. And a compass?
I have her call me.
Yeah, she doesn't have a phone. Parents are like, you're too young, you don't need a phone.
Establish some sort of like meeting place.
What if they can't find a meeting place? Because sometimes the kids get nervous when they get lost.
Yeah.
So like a backup plan,
Well,
plan B.
Yeah, I don't know. No, not really.
Let them go and find a new kid. Or something.
Yeah, I've got a different one. Yeah.
There's not much you can do.
There is stuff you can do.
Like,
That's right, there is stuff you can do. In 2012, myself, along with my colleagues, Dr. Jonathan Tarbox and Dr. Adele Nadowski, published a study in the Journal of Applied Behavior Analysis on teaching kids what to do when they get lost. The study demonstrated how 3 simple things, rules, role-playing, and praise, were effective in establishing these help-seeking behaviors. The benefit of this method is it doesn't require the child to have a cell phone or to have to locate a meeting place, which might be difficult if they're in a place like Disneyland. So once again, our method included rules, role-playing, and praise. Let's head back outside and learn about some of these rules.
They should yell out loud. Can't find my mom, help me.
Maybe yell out and scream for help. All right, scream really loud.
Correct.
And if that doesn't work, then,
I don't know.
well, they could seek help from someone.
Find an adult.
Yeah, go to a vendor, and say I'm lost.
Find an adult, like a police officer or a fireman or an employee in the store, and tell them, and maybe they can help you contact your parent. It really is that simple. You don't need to get your kid a cell phone. You don't need to establish a meeting place that they might not be able to find when they're lost and panicking. And you definitely don't need to give them a compass. All your kid has to do is 3 things. First, yell mom or dad real loud. 2, if that doesn't work, find an employee. And then 3rd, tell the employee they're lost. If they can't locate an employee, then tell them to find a mother with children, because that's probably the safest person to approach. I'm not saying that most men are predators, but most predators are men. That is a fact. I've read it in a fortune cookie. All right, so you've gone over the rules with your kid, and you've quizzed them, and they're able to tell you the correct responses so they understand the rules. But is that enough? How do you know they're gonna perform correctly in a real-world setting? You need to get out there and find out if they can actually do it. So you'd go over the rules and tell them, like, do this, do that, but how would you know if they actually knew what to do? If you wanted to shoot a basketball, and I just told you, oh, when you shoot a basketball, do this, this, and this.
I never practiced.
You never practiced, yeah, so it doesn't matter how many times we go over the rules or how well you can repeat them back to me. It's not going to change until you get on the court and practice.
Maybe do like a little skit with them.
Like a role play?
Role play, yeah.
Your child, you're lost in the toy aisle.
Okay.
What do you do? I'm an attendant, walking around.
I'm lost. I don't know where my mom is. And then once you practice, you just like praise them, give them feedback, like, good job, you did it.
Reinforcing it.
Yes, this woman wins the prize for best comment. She pointed out the most important part of learning, reinforcement. Now, in our study, we used praise, but for your kid, you might have to use something else. You might have to buy them a treat, a toy, take them to their favorite restaurant where they can eat unhealthy food and run around and climb through plastic tunnels that have the unmistakable scent of urine, and then play games spending $20 to get a plastic little spider ring that they will eventually lose in a ball pit. The point is, you need to reward your child for correctly demonstrating what you've been teaching them.
Okay, I'm gonna call her. Hello, your child, Ryan Autism is missing. There you go.
Woohoo!
Yay!
So you tested it out
I'll
in the
try.
store to make sure I knew it. I had the rules,
Yes.
we role played it, and you made sure I knew it, and then like you said, good job, and all that. Now we're good to go.
We're good to go.
All right.
Done?
High five right there.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Give your child the rules, get out there and practice, and reward your child for responding correctly. For more information, please visit us online at autismresearchgroup.org. I'm Ryan Bergstrom. Thanks for watching. Yes, ding, no. Yes, this woman wins the first, yes, this woman, yes, this woman wins the best, yes, this woman wins the first place, yes, this woman wins, why can't I say woman? Yes, this woman wins, what's the line? Yes!
Welcome back to Autism Live. Wanted to take a couple of seconds to talk about toys. We've started our toy festival, and our featured toy of the day is the Headbands Act Up. Love it. Just love it. Absolutely love that toy. So much fun. But we asked you guys today, what toy has made a difference in that Thomas the Train is something, and we've heard that from a lot of our viewers, and we know a lot of our families agree with that, that trains tend to be something that are really reinforcing to our kids on the spectrum, but in particular, Thomas the Tank. We used to love to watch Thomas the Tank with our son. When it came time to pick out a train set, what was funny for us was that we had to choose between, Fisher-Price has something called Geo-Trax, and then there was the Thomas the Tank engine. And I don't know why, I can't even tell you why we chose to go with the Geo-Trax. We quite liked that. But, you know, a lot of people go with the Thomas the Tank, and we would always go to, here in Southern California, they have something called Thomas the Tank Days, where Thomas and all of his entities come to town for a day or a weekend, and there are lots of things to do, and we used to love to go to all of that. I know we featured Thomas the Tank 2 years ago when we did our Toys R Us special, and Nancy Allspot Jackson, her son Wyatt, was a huge fan of Thomas the Tank. And when I said to her, why do kids love this so much? And she said, I think it's because the expressions on the face are so clearly drawn that there's no room for ambiguity. You understand if one of the trains is unhappy. You understand when they are very happy. And I thought, wow, that really makes a great deal of sense, that it's a good toy for our children. Helps to work on fine motor skills, even gross motor skills, building, cognition, executive functions, so many different things that the Thomas the Tank Engine toys build on. And we know that a lot of our kids, as they grow, the love of trains stays with them, but grows in different ways. And we can make sure that it stays in a way that grows and is appropriate, which, you know, I tend to not worry about as much, but I know for some people that can be a really hard thing. I want to talk about some of the other toys that you guys have said made a huge difference, because I love some of these. Somebody said pen and paper. A couple of years ago, we featured a blog that they said the top 5 toys this year for the holiday season, and they said these are old-time toys that you might want to use. And one of them was pen and paper. Another one was a stick. There was string and mud were other ones on the list, and a cardboard box. These can be the most amazing toys to our kids, and I think it's so important that we remember, because sometimes we think it's all about how much money we spend. So pen and paper. Okay, this person said, my son loves to draw. He also has a stuffed zebra named Jake that he takes almost everywhere. The stuffed animals sometimes make a big difference. Puzzles. Our friends at Autism Will Not Define My Son have said that puzzles are a great thing, that their son loves them. He has a couple of alphabet puzzles. Without these puzzles, I don't think he would have learned the alphabet as quickly, and I would not have known he already knew the alphabet, so I'd have to say puzzles. Someone else is a bike that freed her daughter up to ride. Another person who said, would an iPad be considered a toy? I do. That's made a big difference. And another person, another side of it says, I wish there was one, a toy that made the difference. And then they said, well, anything that makes music. Oh, there are so many toys out there that make music. Have you seen the TED Talk where the guy makes a clarinet out of a carrot yet? You gotta watch it. It's amazing. TED Talk, search it. It's incredible. It'll knock your socks off. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll have Dr. Linda Copeland answering your questions. Stick with us.
Hi, my name is Marlena, and I'm the Camp Discovery Project Manager.
I'm Will, and I'm the Camp Discovery Artist.
Today we are participating in the Autism Acts of Love Challenge. We're doing this on behalf of all of our Camp Discovery users and players. So what we're going to do is blindfold ourselves and then draw something that we love. I'm choosing to draw knitting because that is my favorite hobby.
I'm choosing to draw coffee because I love coffee.
All right, and we have to use 3 different colors. Orange, I'm going to change the color. And then knitting needles. All right, let's take a look. Oh, man.
We're not very good when we're blindfolded.
All right, so we encourage all of our Camp Discovery parents and teachers out there to also participate in this challenge and, of course, donate to families who are in need of services and treatment. So, thank you.
Later.
Welcome back to Autism Live. I'm so thrilled, and we're all so fortunate that we have joining us via Skype Dr. Linda Copeland. Hello, Dr. Copeland.
Hi, everyone. It's good to be here.
We're so thrilled to have you here, and I want everybody to know that this is a regular segment now. Every third Tuesday, in the second hour of our show, Dr. Linda Copeland is going to be joining us to answer your questions. And if you missed the beginning of the show, Dr. Copeland is both a pediatrician and a board-certified behavior analyst. I mean, can you hear the angels singing? Because what a combo platter, right? We want to be able to go to a pediatrician and ask questions about our children's health and well-being and medical health, but it really would be the ideal situation if they understood behavioral issues and the difference between the two, Dr. Copeland. So we appreciate you. We think that you're a wonderful unicorn that we didn't know existed, and we're just so grateful that you're here and can help us wade through some different things. So I'm going to start with some questions that we had come in this week on the live feature.
Real quick, Shannon.
Yes, absolutely.
I hear your voice loud and clear. For some reason, I can't see you. And
You're not going to get to see me.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the bummer of it. You and I don't get to see each other, but everybody else gets to see us. Right now, they're getting to see both of us. So, but you and I don't get to see each other. So we're flying blind. But that's the drill. So in any case, we had some things come in the live feature, and one question that I thought, oh man, I would never have even thought to ask this, but I understand where this question is coming from. They said, for Dr. Copeland, when do we know to not send our kids to school or to cancel therapy? School says they can come if their temp is under 99, but that doesn't make sense to me. Then if the temp gets over 99, they can't come back until it's been under for 24 hours. Help! Our kids don't always tell us when they're getting sick. This is me. I always feel like I have to apologize when I send my child to school, and then they call me and say, no, he's not well enough to come to school. And then I think I leave him home too many days before I send him back. So what does a pediatrician advise?
Great question. And it is hard, especially for individuals with autism spectrum who have difficulty communicating how they feel. So I empathize with both the parent side and the school side. And when the parent said it didn't make sense to her about that temp of 99, I was trying to see from both perspectives. And at some point, the school has to draw a line and say, if there's fever, the child might be contagious, won't feel well at school. Let's pick a number. So average temperature by mouth is around 98.6, but nobody's just average. When you get above 99, it may start to become a fever. And sadly, fevers can come on very suddenly, so we can't always know. And sometimes it'll be first manifesting at school. Of course, you're looking for other objective signs too. Is the child actually vomiting? Are they having copious watery diarrhea? That would be clear indications to keep them home. But back to the fever issue, what might not make sense to the parent is that some kids can run warm. They'll run a temperature of 99.1 and feel fine. So just because their temp's 99.1 doesn't mean that they're contagious necessarily. So I thought about that, and one thing for the child who runs warm metabolically, the family might want to talk with their doctor. And if they're suspecting that, whenever the child's in for any routine thing, a well child visit or a minor injury, freezing a wart, get the temperature and see if they're healthy, not infectious, but they run a little warm, 99.1, 99.2. If that's the case and the pediatrician can document it, they can send a letter to the school saying 99.2 is this kid's average. It's not a fever for them. Consider sending them home if they're higher, like 99.3, 99.4. And that might help so there's not too many days of missed school. In general, it is good to be free of fever for at least 24 hours before you go back. So I hope that helps a little. But
that does help a little. It's brought up more questions for me. I want to start with, so is it possible for children to run a little bit cooler too?
Yeah, some people metabolically, or a little bit cooler. Yeah.
Okay. And then, so I love the idea of kind of keeping track. Is it a good idea for parents, especially if kids on the spectrum, to sort of get a baseline and know where your kid runs?
Oh, I think we're having a little audio trouble. Can you repeat that?
Oh, yeah. I was just saying, is it a good idea for a parent to get a baseline of where their kid is, to know what makes sense in terms of where normal is for their kid?
Yeah.
I never had thought about that
before. Suggesting,
okay.
Yeah, and kind of also doing it with a physician as well. So monitoring at home, monitoring it for routine visits to the doctor.
Great. I know with my son, it's not unusual, especially if we've been doing something or been up late, that he'll say that his voice is feeling a little scratchy. But for him to tell me that just in the last year, he started to tell me if his throat is really sore. If our kids have a sore throat, do we keep them home? At what point do you decide that a sore throat is bad enough to keep home? Only with a fever?
Yes, and it depends on if your child is really stoic. So again, it's knowing your child, because some individuals with autism spectrum won't complain at all unless they're really hurting and really sick. So even a mild complaint from them might mean the throat's horribly inflamed and red with pus on the tonsils. So if you see that, there is more likely fever to be associated with it, and the child's going to be pretty listless. So I also look at the energy level of the child. So that may help. Certainly, if there's a very red throat and there's a fever over 99.2, there's more likely a significant infection going on.
Okay. And some of us have reported, I know I certainly have seen this with my son, when he gets a slight fever, he's actually functioning a little bit better. This is a phenomenon that parents have been talking about for a while. So I miss it a lot of times. I'll think, oh, he's doing so good today. Send him off to school and they'll call and say fever. I guess there's just no way of knowing in those instances, or should we, if we know that our kid is that way, maybe I should start taking his temperature when he seems particularly on.
Yes, that's interesting. And it might have to do with heat shock proteins. We're trying to understand that in the neurophysiology of autism. And it relates to treatment discovery, too, that these wonderful antioxidants from broccoli sprouts called sulforaphanes actually affect heat shock proteins. And there's been well known in the autism scientific and medical literature that some children with autism spectrum get more verbal when they're running a little bit of fever. And it may be because it affects these heat shock proteins, which can temporarily boost the function of the brain.
So interesting. It's just fascinating to me. We also get incredible eye contact when my son has just a low-grade fever. He's old enough now that I get it. And when I see the eye contact, I go, uh-oh, let's enjoy this, because the next couple of days we're not going to have anything else going on. But I take advantage of it and talk to him and and spend great time with him during that time, because it's fascinating to hear what he has to say during those times. He's verbal all the time, but it's just interesting the things he'll say and the amazing eye contact that he gives them. All right.
It's fascinating. You're very good at noticing his cues too.
Wow, it's taken forever.
We're doing further research on how sulforaphane can work on those heat shock proteins and affect brain function. So we do get the better social brain coming out.
Yeah, we're looking forward to getting some more research on that, because we've been talking about that. And I will tell you, I feel like a criminal sometimes, because as parents, we think we're supposed to know what's happening with our kids. I'm just now at 11 starting to notice those things. For years, I felt at sea, Dr. Copeland, that I felt like everybody else could see it but me, and I would beat myself up as a mom about, why don't I know when he's sick? Why can't I tell and everybody else can tell? So thank you for thinking that I'm noticing, because so much I'm not. But in any case, I'm going to move on to the next question here. So, Dr. Linda, thank you for being here. My son has eczema bad. What do you recommend? Is there something I can use to prevent it instead of dealing with it after the fact?
Okay, great question. I want to give a little bit of a disclaimer that any suggestions or information I give today is not meant to be any specific medical treatment for any individual. But what eczema is, it's dry, red, itchy skin. It's a skin reaction, and there can be multiple causes of it, but the most common cause is allergic sensitive skin, what we call atopic dermatitis. And if it's a particularly bad case, this really needs to be closely followed by the child's primary care physician. And there are some prescription medications, both as topical steroid ointments or creams, and sometimes oral medication that the doctor can do. But in between times, there are some recommendations that come from studies and from dermatologists. The mainstay is avoiding any known allergen triggers, and sometimes it's dyes and perfumes in soap or in laundry soaps and fabric softener. You want to use all hypoallergenic products, and it's critical to keep the skin moist. The skin barrier, the superficial layers of the skin that are a protective barrier, get damaged in eczema. So moisturizing is a critical part of it. And again, you want to use hypoallergenic products that are known to be really good for moisturizing. And things like Aveeno, Eucerin, and even stronger Triceram, there's good studies on that, kind of build up that protective barrier. So your doctor may give some advice on which kind of moisturizing agent. It's important to keep the skin clean, but not overbathe. Daily baths may be too much. However, periodic bathing and immediately after bathing, just pat dry, don't rub the skin really dry, and immediately put on those moisturizing agents. It's also important not to have the bath water too hot, because that will further damage the skin. You want a lukewarm. And we know that children with eczema get a higher bacterial count on their skin, and that can increase eczema flare-ups. So bleach baths are worth discussing with the child's doctor as to whether they're recommended. And it's a very dilute amount of household bleach, not concentrated bleach. 2 teaspoons per gallon of bathtub water, or about a half a cup per 40-gallon bathtub. And you soak up to your neck, never submerge your head, obviously. but up to your neck for about 10 minutes in that lukewarm bleach bath, and then rinse and gently dry and moisturize. So those bleach baths significantly decrease the bacterial count. And then there's some prescription antibiotic ointments for particularly bad flare-up. If there's a bad flare-up, you don't want to do a bleach bath right then and there because it'll be painful. So hopefully this gives some suggestions to review with a child's doctor, but definitely eczema needs to be under the care of a physician.
Okay, great advice. And I so appreciate you reminding all of us, we have a disclaimer at the start of the show, but all of the experts that we have on the show, no one can give individual specific advice, but we hope that we can give you directions and ways that you can ask questions moving forward. We're going to take a break right now, and then we're going to be back with more Dr. Linda Copeland answering your questions after these messages. Stick with us.
Hi, I'm Joe Miller, and I am taking...
Hi, I'm Nancy Plotkin, and this is Autism Acts of Love Challenge. Now, I'm a Jersey girl, so Jersey girls need high hair. So I am not going to put this on. I'm just going to close my eyes really, really tight, and then I'm going to attempt to draw my loved ones, because this challenge is to close your eyes and draw something you love. So here it goes. Oh, I am drawing my family, my marvelous husband and my phenomenal daughter. So let's see if I can do it. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is my husband. Let's hope. And he wears glasses. I don't know. Let's try my daughter. She'll be over here. And she has curly hair and beautiful big eyes and a smile. Oh, it's not too bad. It really came out pretty good. I'm impressed. So, I want to challenge Nancy Bell. I want to challenge Sally Kelly Tamborelli. And I want to challenge Ashley Gianni. Please take this challenge. Also remember to donate to helpforautism.org. Helpforautism.org. Together we can make a difference. And I want to further challenge the judges of The Voice. Let's go, Adam Levine. Let's go, Blake Shelton. Let's go, Gwen Stefani. And Pharrell, you're on.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We have with us, joining us via Skype, Dr. Linda Copeland. She is both a pediatrician and a board-certified behavior analyst, and she is answering your questions. Somebody, in fact, just wrote in and said, the state of South Dakota does not consider autism a developmental disability. How is that possible? Does anybody in the medical community think autism is not developmental? What would you like to say to that, Dr. Copeland?
Everyone in the medical community, including the American Academy of Pediatrics, the Academy of Pediatric Neurology, Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, the Society for Developmental and Behavioral Pediatrics, we all think autism is a developmental disability and a lifelong neurodevelopmental disability, even though some children can have optimal outcome with a lot of therapy over the years. So I don't know how the state of South Dakota came up with that, and I think that could be challenged. They might be addressing the issue of substantial handicap. In my clinical experience, most individuals with autism spectrum disorders do have areas of substantial handicap in their lives that can be remediated to various degrees, as they work towards optimal outcome. So perhaps they're implying that there are some individuals who may not meet a threshold for a substantial handicap, but it clearly is a developmental disorder.
Okay. Did you hear that, South Dakota? I hope they did. Interesting.
I'd say challenge it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I want to move on to a question. We have a lot of people wanting to know things about diet, but here's one that I thought was really interesting. Do kids on the GFCF diet, which is the gluten-free, casein-free diet, need to take a calcium supplement?
Yes. When you're eliminating casein that's from dairy products, and for most Americans, dairy products are a major source of calcium and vitamin D. So if you're going to do the GFCF diet, it is important to supplement with calcium and vitamin D. And there's different levels of requirement. So I would check the recommended daily allowances, which vary according to age, but it's going to be somewhere about around 700 milligrams of calcium per day and about 400 international units of vitamin D per day for the young toddlers, like 1 to 3. And then it goes up to 1,000 milligrams of calcium for the 4 to 8-year-olds, and then 1,300 milligrams of calcium per day when the child's going through puberty. Then as a young adult, it goes back down to about 1,000 milligrams of calcium per day. So you want to do both that calcium and vitamin D supplementation.
Okay, great. We had a couple of questions come in via email, because our viewers can ask us questions in lots of different ways. Via email, we had a question: what do you recommend, for pica? And they further went on to say that the child is eating his own feces. So pica, maybe you want to start by explaining for our viewers who don't know what pica is, what that is, and then we'll talk about it.
Is simply defined as the behavior of eating non-edible things. And of course, normal toddlers up to about age 2 are exploring by putting non-edible things in their mouth. It's a developmental hazard until they outgrow it, but they usually outgrow it shortly after 2. And if they swallow it, then we refer to it as pica, and if they mouth it, it's mouthing behavior. But it becomes a serious issue, and it's increase in frequency in certain populations, including people with developmental disorders like an autism spectrum disorder or intellectual disabilities. Fortunately, the Autism Treatment Network has a guide on pica for parents and professionals. So I would refer them to that guide. It's important to look at medical issues. Some individuals with autism spectrum with pica might have iron or zinc deficiency, and that could be checked with blood testing for iron and zinc. And there's also a zinc taste test to see if there might be zinc deficiency. There's a risk with pica for feces of contracting parasites or other infectious problems. So you want the medical doctor to review that, and then review with a nutritionist as well as the behavior analyst. What the behavior analyst will do is help with a functional assessment of what's the purpose of this behavior for this individual. And it's somewhat challenging to treat behaviorally because more than half the time there's not a social function to the pica behavior. It's more sensory, automatic reinforcement. It's kind of a sensory issue. But you can't assume that. You have to do that functional assessment first and then individualize a behavioral plan. Also set up the environment to decrease the likelihood that it will happen. Like I would recommend putting the kid in overalls where they can't get into their pants so easily while you're working on the problem. But there are effective behavioral approaches to work on it behaviorally while you're addressing the medical issues as well.
Okay, and what was the guide that you mentioned at the beginning?
It's the Autism Treatment Network's guide to pica for parents and professionals. If you go to the Autism Treatment Network website.
Fabulous. Okay, continuing to the next question. They said, thank you to the doctor. I have 3 with autism, and what will help with sleep? And I'm not 100% sure, because if you have 3 with autism, I'm not sure whether you're looking for sleep for yourself or sleep for the kids, but I know for sure that if the kids sleep, you're more likely to get sleep. So
exactly.
I think we should assume that it's helping the kids. Yes, D, all of the above, right?
Right, and it's an important question because there's an increased incidence of sleep disorders in individuals with autism spectrum, and if the child's not sleeping and could get into things, you're right, the parent's not sleeping. So you have to assess the sleep-wake cycle, and there are some supplements that have been researched that can be helpful to normalizing the sleep-wake cycle, and one is a natural product called melatonin, which our own brains make to help us gently unwind our brain and get our brain prepared for sleep. And it is available over the counter. CARD is actually researching, there's some other natural substances too, like L-theanine, which is an amino acid in certain beneficial teas. So we are actually developing at CARD a sleep supplement aid based on this research, where we get the exact right combination of melatonin with L-theanine and other neurotransmitters needed for successful sleep. So, and that's through Kirkman Labs. So we will be having that out shortly. So look for it.
All right. We'll look forward to hearing more about that. I'm going to move on to another question that came in via email. My pediatrician is recommending risperidol for my ADHD son, 14 years old. I'm afraid because of all the things I have seen about boys growing breasts. What do you suggest?
You might want to also get consultation from either a developmental pediatrician like myself and or a child psychiatrist or a pediatric neurologist who has extensive experience in autism. There is a time and place to consider risperidol, but it has a lot of potential very serious side effects. So it's really more a last resort. Risperidol does have an indication from the Food and Drug Administration based on some good research published in the New England Journal of Medicine in autism spectrum disorders for really kind of severe, agitated, aggressive behavior that's not been responsive to good behavioral interventions alone. And I've definitely seen times that it can be very helpful, but it has serious side effects. So one thing it helps is to draw a hormone level called prolactin before the medication is started, as well as drawing a genetic panel called the DMEX panel that looks at how an individual through their cytochrome system, how they handle psychiatric medications, whether they're rapid metabolizer or intermediate or slow metabolizer, and that would help predict whether they're more likely to have side effects on a medication like risperidol. So it's not a decision you come to lightly, and often it should not be just a general pediatrician, but a pediatrician in consultation with a specialist to make that big decision of bringing in an agent that potentially has so many serious side effects. It's also important to have the child exercise and eating a really healthy diet, because risperidol can increase the appetite and there can be serious weight gain with the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. While the breast can grow in a male on risperidol, the breast will grow a little bit just during puberty, even in a male. So not to confuse those two. And it's not that common that risperidol will actually cause milk production from the breast, but that has been reported.
Wow. So you talked about a test that you could potentially do to see how well your child will tolerate drugs. Is that a test that we can ask a typical developmental pediatrician, or do we go to a child psychologist to have that test done?
It's a blood test. It's a genetics test that a developmental pediatrician or any specialized physician can order that looks at how your liver cytochrome enzymes metabolize, especially psychiatric medications.
Okay.
So it's being used more and more. It's relatively new, but very useful.
Okay. And what do we ask for if we're asking the developmental pediatrician for that?
The DMEX genetic panel, DMEX medication genetic panel.
Okay, great. I want to continue on with another question that came in via email. My son has ridges on his fingernails. Should I be concerned?
I saw that question. You had emailed it to me earlier. And again, I would have the physician, the primary care physician, look at his nails, make sure it doesn't look like something like a fungal infection. There are some genetic mild nail dysplasias that can cause ridging on the nails. And I actually have that. So I have mild ridging on my nails, and I've had it all my life. So it really depends. But have the doctor look at it.
And clearly you're doing okay. So not something to be concerned about. Okay, I love this question. For the pediatrician, my daughter has had a cough for 2 weeks. She doesn't know how to cough up or blow her nose. What do I do to clear the cough? And is there a way to teach to cough up or blow nose for autism kids? Great question.
Yes. So first, as far as teaching how to cover your cough and how to wipe and blow your nose, CARD has this great skills curriculum. And in that skills curriculum, they have a section called Prevention of the Spread of Germs. And there are actually ABA behavioral treatment protocols to step-by-step through what we call a task analysis to teach a child systematically how to wipe their nose, how to blow through their nose, so good nose hygiene, how to cover their cough. You want to cough into your elbow or upper sleeve and not into your hands, and use good hand washing. So through step-by-step careful reinforcement and teaching, modeling, video modeling is a good way of teaching, and practicing a little bit and chaining and linking the steps together over time, you can teach the child how to do this. Now, as far as clearing the cough, there's different reasons for cough. Cough from a head cold can last 2 weeks, but should gradually be getting better over that 2-week period of time. If it's not getting better, then again, it's good to see the primary care doctor. There are other things that can keep a cough going longer, including if there's reactive airways and asthma. So you'd want to check for other things, or if they're going into a sinus infection, that sort of thing. So kind of doing a complete workup.
Okay, really remarkable. I'm going to slide one more question. Yeah, okay, I'm going to slide one more question in here. A 12-year-old developmentally disabled daughter has gotten her period with cramps, and I'm at wit's end. What can I give her?
Well, medications like ibuprofen or naproxen can be used as long as she's not allergic to those pain reliever medications. Rest combined with a little bit of light exercise like walking if she's getting a lot of cramps, keeping well hydrated. And then if the cramps are particularly unusually severe, really prolonged, heavy bleeding for an excessive amount of time, that should be evaluated by a medical doctor. Occasionally, even in a young 12-year-old or 13-year-old, there can be medical conditions like endometriosis or an ovarian cyst or some other cause of heavy uterine bleeding. Excuse me, I need to get the lights back on in my office here. So
it became a ghost story all of a sudden there.
I'm going to fly here. I'm trying to get
we love when lights are set on timers so that we're saving energy until right. You need a motion sensor.
Okay, let me flick the switch on.
Okay.
Answered the question. There it goes.
Love that. Okay, great. Okay, so there could be some reasons to go to a doctor to have it checked, to have it looked at, to see if there's something else going on.
Right. If it's a lot of teenagers and women under 30 will have some painful menstrual cramps. And if they can tolerate the pain and they get a little bit of relief from ibuprofen and naproxen, and so they can cope, then it's probably typical menstrual cramps of a young woman. But if it's severe pain with a lot of severe nausea and vomiting that lays them low, or just heavy bleeding for more than 5 days, unusually heavy bleeding, they can risk anemia. There may be something medical going on, as I mentioned, the endometriosis or even an ovarian cyst. So that's worth looking into.
Okay. Dr. Copeland, we thank you so much. We're so looking forward to having you back in December.
Great. I'm looking forward to it too.
And people can continue to write in their questions in advance. We'll store them for you. And thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure.
All right, take care.
Alrighty, bye-bye.
We just have like a minute and a half here at the end of the show. I want to make sure and mention our toy of the hour, headbands, act up. I don't know why I had to say it in a funny way. But you have the ability to win this toy or to win You Clue, which was our toy of the hour in the first hour. I want to tell you a little bit about how this works. So what we want you to do, first of all, you have to sign up for the newsletter. You will not be eligible to win unless you are signed up for the newsletter. Secondly, if you're watching the show, you need to write in and tell us which toy you want and why you want it, and you need to include your home address. What happened last year is we didn't get your addresses, and so we had to cycle back to find out what the winner's addresses were, and it was a nightmare. So you have to give us your address. So write to us. You can write to me at s.penrod@autism-live.com. And we are going to, at the end of every week, we're going to, on Fridays, we'll pick the winners and we'll let you guys know on Tuesday who won the toy, and then we'll get them shipped out. So you've got a couple of days. We won't pick until Friday in the morning, so if you're watching Thursday's show for Thursday's toy, you've got until then. But you've got to write to us, tell us which toy you want, and make sure you give us your address, and we will check to make sure that you're on the email list before you can win the toy. So that's what you need to do. s.penrod@autism-live.com. Say headbands or say You Clue to be entered to win either of today's toys of the hour. Now, tomorrow, oh my gosh, I only have a couple seconds here to talk about tomorrow, but first things first, we're going to have in the morning Dr. Doreen Grampachet. She's going to be answering your questions, and we're still going to have a toy of the hour. How's that? And then in the second hour, it's Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. We've got a special guest who's going to join us from the floor of the Innovation Playground at OcaliCon. And she's going to be showcasing for us some of the things that are happening there. Amazing products and toys and services that are helping our kids on the autism side. It's like Tomorrowland for autism. How much time do we have, Kelby? We're out? All right, so I'm just got to check my time here. Okay, so that's going to be tomorrow, and then again on Thursday, we're going to be featuring OcaliCon again, and we are going to be talking a little bit more about this Toys R Us Differently Abled toy guide on Thursday. But tomorrow, we've got Dr. Doreen Grampachet in the first segment, and we're going to take a little virtual trip to OcaliCon tomorrow with you. We're out of time. I can't tell you how much I appreciate being here with all of you. Until tomorrow, give your kiddos a hug from me. Bye-bye for now.